Most people do a lot of work that does not provide a lot of value. Let me say it again. Most people do a lot of work, but it does not provide a lot of value. Let's take a moment to talk about value streams. When most people think about value, they think about it in a singular vacuum. Am I providing value? But they really don't think about it in terms of providing assistance to others, thinking about providing the payoff to others. Most people don't care about, what are you selling? What are you doing? What are you providing? How your day was? Most people really don't care about that at the end of the day. You might have niceties and different things like that, but most people care about the value that you're bringing to the table. What is the payoff for the work that you're doing? When you want to raise, what is the payoff? You're putting in this work, but what is it providing? That's what you need to sell in terms of your value streams. That's when you start to look at the work that you're doing, the process that you're doing. You need to start selling the payoff and not selling your product, because people don't care about your product necessarily. They don't care about you. They care about the payoff. And when you shift your mindset in terms of looking at things as, this is what I'm trying to sell, this is what I'm trying to get out of it, and look at it as the payoff for the customer, what do they want? You have to be able to listen. It's important to listen in terms of when you're trying to sell things, as well as when you're trying to provide value. Let me say it again. It's important to listen. You have to put your mindset in the mind. You have to take your mindset and put it in the mindset of the customer, of your client, of your manager, of your VP. You have to look at it and say, what are they looking for in terms of value? What is the payoff that they're looking for? You have to sell them on the payoff based on your work. You have to sell them on the payoff based on your work. You can't not do the work, but many people try to sell you on things that they like that you don't necessarily want. You can't do that for a consumer. You have to say, what do they want? This is what I have that fits your need. Let me say it again. I'm talking very deliberately and very slowly because I want you to get these key points. You can't sell me on what you want. It's not necessarily what I want. You have to show me the value in what you provide. What is the payoff that you provide that fits my need? So when we talk about the value streams, let's break these down. Let's talk about these value streams and break these down and how you can implement these to be able to live your purpose. So the first step for a first value stream, not first step, is implementation, because you can move throughout different value streams. Hopefully you do move throughout different value streams so you can provide the maximum amount of value. So we talk about implementation. Most of us are in implementation. Is super important because implementation is the work. You can't skip the work. When we talk about implementation and putting in consistent work, putting in the work to provide the value, putting in the work to show the payoff, that's important. Most of us are in implementation. So if you think about your day-to-day work, whether you're working in the corporate world, whether you're a bricklayer, whatever you're doing, you're usually doing that day-to-day work, those day-to-day tasks that help the business move forward and run. A little bit above that, you have unionization. So unionization is just a longer word for saying you have your managers, you have your directors, you have your project leads, you have your day shift leaders who might not necessarily be doing that day-to-day task. They might not be leading the projects. They might not be doing the coding, but they're helping provide the vision so the team stays aligned and move forward. So you're that implementation, you're doing the work, you're grinding, you're pushing forward. Then you have that unionization that helps provide that upper layer. They're doing work as well, but they're providing more of that vision. So that's an additional layer on top. That's an additional layer of value. So you're not just able to do the day-to-day tasks, but you're able to lead. You're able to lead. That adds an additional layer of value. So we're at 2 now. Let's look at the third one. So you have the first 2, implementation, you're doing that work. Unionization, you're providing that vision to go a little bit higher. So before I get to that third one, when you're going for that raise this year, you want to talk about the value that you brought. Don't think about what you did and you think is so great. Think about the pillars that your management or company wants to see, and then talk about the payoff and tell them about how your work fit within that payoff. So when you talk about implementation, talk about that work you did that helped pay off for the company, hit the company goal marks or benchmarks. Talk about that. When you talk about a little bit beyond implementation, unionization. How did you lead others? How did you keep the team aligned on the vision of the company to be able to hit those benchmarks that you're talking about? And then we're going into that third layer of value. We talk about communication. A lot of people do great work in implementation. They might have unionization, but they're not able to properly communicate the payoff. They're not able to properly communicate what's going on, the work that they were able to accomplish. It's important to have communication, because communication, you're not able to talk to everybody at once. We're in a technological age, so you're able to communicate with people through email, through telephone. You can put up videos and have people view them to be able to show your message. So you need to be able to properly curate your message to be able to tell the payoff. So whether that's in person, whether that's through a social media platform, whether that's through the phone, you need to be able to socialize the work that you've done in your implementation and hopefully your unionization, to be able to provide that and show that value that you have. And then beyond, so we talked about implementation, we talked about unionization, then we talked about communication. The fourth layer of the value stream is imagination. Imagination, when you think about some of the highest paid individuals, they all had great imagination. Think about Facebook. You think about Elon Musk with Tesla. You think about Bill Gates. All these people had ideas at first that people truly didn't understand. And they took those ideas and they were able to, first, when you look at the value, they were taking those ideas from their mind and they were able to implement those. And then once they started implementing those at the ground level, they built up teams. Then we're at the unionization stage where they were managing those teams. And they used proper communication within those teams to help them move forward, and with the world to be able to socialize their idea to move forward. So when you think about that, there are 4 layers of value: implementation, unionization, communication, and imagination. You have to use all 4 to maximize your potential to be able to show the true payoff in the value that you provide. So once you start utilizing those 4 layers of value, you'll start to see not only your life, professional life take off, but you see your personal life take off, because it won't be just about you and what you're getting from the situation, but you'll be able to align that payoff for others and be able to sell yourself and persuade others to see your true vision and how your product, your services, how your work is fitting their needs. So once you start doing that, you'll see an elevation and you'll start truly going to that next level.